Mr. Investor baby, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be talking about HYLN. So this is breaking news. They just interviewed the main man at HYLN, Mr. Thomas Healy, and I'm going to be showing you what he said today. If you guys are new around here, my name is Miguel. I look for the biggest, juiciest growth stocks. I want to grow my money 20x, 30x, 50x over time, baby. If you're able to support my channel and you like quick updates like this, just click the join button. It's only 99 cents a month. But if you're unable to join, just you hitting like on this video and clicking subscribe means the world to me. Keep up to date, click the subscribe button, hit the bell, and I hope to see you in the next video, baby. So guys, this is the interview conducted here. I'm going to be breaking down the interview for you and just showing you the best parts of it. And this was actually on the Fleet Equipment website. I never heard of it before, but I found it just typing in on the internet in Google News. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I just make entertaining videos on stocks. Okay, so in this video, this man here, Mr. Healy, was talking about hydrogen and the movement in the future and the game plan of HYLN. And you might remember that Meet Kevin said, you know, for HYLN, he doesn't think it's the best investment yet, but if they move into hydrogen, it's a game changer. And he said that's what they should be doing, that's what they should be moving into. I'm super bullish on HYLN still. I hold shares at $25 average. I actually bought and averaged up from like I think $19 or $18 back when it was Tortoise acquisition. And here, let's watch the main man talk about hydrogen.
That's where we see that as, you know, a great step for the industry to be able to move into electric long haul trucking. And then I think there's a lot of discussion, as you mentioned, around hydrogen and fuel cell, right? Is that going to be the wave of the future? And you know, we believe in hydrogen and fuel cell as well. We're actually designing our powertrain to be able to be agnostic. So as fuel cell technology and hydrogen infrastructure gets built out, we have the ability to switch out a natural gas generator to a hydrogen generator. And the rest of the powertrain stays the same though. So we're kind of future-proofing ourselves in that capacity. And we'll see. I think hydrogen has a lot of promise, but there's a lot of pieces that still need to come into play in order to get to a future hydrogen infrastructure versus that natural gas and renewable natural gas. It's already there.
So the next thing they spoke about was lowering emissions and how, you know, all of these mandates and regulations are coming into play. So what about these fleets and lowering their emissions?
Important thing to focus on is well-to-wheel and kind of overall emissions, right? So to take an electric truck, plug it in and say, hey, this is a zero polluting vehicle. Well, you really need to look at where did that electricity come from, right? If it came from wind and solar, that's fantastic. But if it came from a coal-fired power plant, we're not doing much good for the environment, right? And so that's where, you know, it's really looking at well-to-wheel. And as we see some of these larger companies kind of put out their statements of they're moving to, you know, reductions in emissions, or they're moving to zero emissions, like we mentioned Amazon before, they're looking at well-to-wheel. They're not just looking at what comes out of the tailpipe, right? So from that standpoint, I think it's important to look at the whole picture. And, you know, this renewable natural gas is pretty fascinating, and one that a lot of people aren't paying attention to or haven't heard of before. But, you know, it's basically the same as natural gas, but it's coming from a different source. So it's actually coming from capturing emissions coming off of landfills and dairy farms, things that normally would have been a pollutant to the atmosphere, as opposed to just letting them gas off. Now farms are actually capturing those gases, pumping them into the pipeline. And when you actually go use that in a vehicle to drive the vehicle, you don't have the same level of emissions. You have a lot less. So what it actually creates is an opportunity where you can even have net carbon negative or below zero emissions profiles, right? So then you get to a point where it's actually cleaner for an organization to go drive the truck as opposed to not drive it, because, you know, the gas came from what would have been pollutants originally.
Oh, baby. And I'm going to prove exactly what he said, because one of my family members was actually investing into Dominion Energy. So I want to show you what they're doing to capture these renewable gases. And here we go, baby. I'm a little piglet in a pen. So as you can see here, we've got renewable natural gas turning waste into clean energy. So I think what they do is they implement a fan system, and what they do is absorb the methane, the natural gas from the pigs. So here we can see, that's right, thanks to technological innovation, we can capture waste methane from hog and dairy farms and convert it into clean energy that can power homes and power businesses. So it's exactly what HYLN is running on. You can see here it's renewable natural gas, and it's transforming the future of clean energy. So when methane is converted into RNG, it captures 25 times more greenhouse gases from the atmosphere than are released when RNG is used by consumers. So that makes RNG better than zero carbon. It's actually carbon beneficial. So check this out. All of these natural gas companies, they're getting the renewable natural gas by partnering up with the largest US pork and dairy farms to expand renewable natural gas projects across the country. So they've invested over $500 million with Smithfield Foods to produce RNG from US hog farms, as well as their partnership with Vanguard Renewables. Yo, baby, this is huge storage, baby. It's huge. When you see the Vanguard group getting involved as well, you know that this is going to be the next step to clean energy. And then the step after that is probably going to be hydrogen, and after that it might even be nuclear. So here you can see, when combined, these partnerships will reduce the same amount of greenhouse gas emissions as taking 650,000 cars off the roads and planting 50 million new trees each year. So when they're talking about the supply chain and building out infrastructure, HYLN has previously mentioned that, I don't know, I think there's like 86 or 85, something like that, so many different RNG natural gas stations where you can pick up. So this is how they do it. They collect the methane from the farm, the supplier, convert it to RNG and deliver it to home and business. So I think renewable natural gas is kind of the bridging point between petrol now, then electricity, then we have the natural gas, and then we'll be moving into hydrogen. But when they're talking about hydrogen, they're talking green hydrogen as well, and that renewable hydrogen could fall as low as $1.40 by 2030 per kilogram. And by 2050, that could further slide to 80 cents. While we're talking about hydrogen, here's another reference. We were looking here, they were saying that today hydrogen costs around about $1 to $1.80 if you're using fossil fuels, and green hydrogen costs almost double and triple the amount. So you can see here, $3 to $6, way more. But in the future, it's going to become a lot cheaper due to increased demand. It's going to reduce the cost of electrolysis. Also, back to HYLN, let's talk about servicing. So they're talking about these new vehicles. People know how to service diesel, but do they know how to service electric ones?
So yeah, service is a big one, right? Because I mean, every truck depot out there knows how to service diesel trucks today. You know, as we move to electric and natural gas and hydrogen, there's new games, right? I mean, one of the nice things with natural gas is there are already, service centers all across the U.S. that have trained up and know how to use natural gas. But electric, hydrogen, it is new. And what we're finding on the electric side of things is, one, you have a lot less moving parts, so that's good because that just inherently means you're going to have less maintenance. But the interesting thing is that it's not really going and repair the vehicle. It's more going and replace parts, right? Which is going to be a little bit of a change. I think truck centers today are used to go in, find the problem, go solve it, go, fix whatever is broken, versus electric's going to be more, if this module isn't working, replace the whole thing and ship the unit back to the manufacturer.
Then the next question they were asking Thomas Healy was about customer loyalty and also about replacing their fleet cycles. So how do the customers behave, and also are you collaborating with anybody in order to get in with their customers?
How do you work through that with your customers?
So the nice thing we're seeing is that everyone's taken the shift towards electrification so seriously that everyone, all the OEMs are trying to figure out what path is going to make the most sense here. Fleets are trying to figure that out. Tier 1 suppliers are trying to figure it out. And right now, it's a very, very collaborative space, right? And people are trying to work together towards solutions. I don't think, at least we're not seeing that people are really coming in and saying, nope, we're not going to work with others. We're just going to do it all ourselves, right? And that's been HYLION's approach. And that's one of the reasons why when we initially stepped back and looked at the ERX, sure, we brainstormed about, do we create the entire truck and the powertrain as well? And we looked and we said, well, the area for evolution here is really in the powertrain. I mean, trucks are great today. OEMs have done a fantastic job of improving them, improving aero, comfortability, everything, right? We don't need to go reinvent that again, right? The area for evolution is the powertrain. And so that's where our goal is, let's step into this market as, a powertrain provider, not a full vehicle provider. And let's use the chassis that fleets already know and love in order to be able to deploy our product on. And, the feedback we've gotten from fleets is they love that because, fleets have already kind of chosen. Do they want to use Peterbilt? Do they want to use Freightliner, right? I mean, they've made those choices. And now we're able to come in and say, we can put our powertrain in those vehicles.
They also spoke about the sustainability strategy and going forward in the next couple of years. What's the sustainability strategy and what is it doing for businesses?
So the first is starting with the fleets. I mean, I think the sustainability push is here and it's here to stay and it's becoming real, right? I mean, there's always kind of been the push on, we need to go to greener, we need to reduce emissions, and there's been huge advancements, after treatment systems and everything. But, now we're getting to a point where large corporations, frankly, the guys who pay to ship stuff, are now coming out with mandates that they're moving towards either reductions in emissions or even going to zero emissions, right? I mean, I think that's the big push that we saw come out of Amazon originally, is there's a target there to go to zero emissions for their whole organization. Obviously, trucking is a huge part of that. And so, I think, we normally think of trucking as, first is, let's figure out how to get things from point A to point B as cheap as possible, and be able to offer those services as inexpensively as possible. But now I think it's a shakeup. It's a new mix that's going to be taking place here of we got to worry about what are the tailpipe emissions coming out of these vehicles, or what's the overall emissions from them. And, we're seeing this shift towards electrification, a lot more players coming into the space. And I think we're starting to see the different strategies take hold, right? I think, we're seeing the OEMs bring forward fully electric local delivery vehicles. They are range limited, but that's good for that type of application, right? Because you don't want a huge battery pack if you don't need it. Then you have other players that are more going after the long haul space, which is where HYLN's playing. Right?
Okay, guys, those were some of the best points I could find on HYLN within the interview with Thomas Healy. And if you want to watch that full interview, just make sure you go to the fleetequipmag.com, type them up and just watch the whole interview, because there's some gems in that interview. So guys, I'm super bullish on HYLN in the long term. So when I close my positions with some other stocks, I'm going to keep stocks that are in genomics. I'm going to keep my 3D printing stocks. I'm going to be keeping some clean energy stocks and one of these stocks as well. If you like this kind of video breakdown and these quick updates, just hit me on the join up here. It's only 99 cents a month. But if you're unable to click join, my cowboys and cowgirls, just you hitting the like button and clicking subscribe means the world to me. I love and appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Yeehaw! Mr. Investor over and out, baby.